No matter how much more money my clients made, they were still in the same situation at the end of the month. Money flows in a circle. So it flows to us, through us, and away from us. The less money you charge, the less valuable they think it is.
Yeah.
I've worked with billionaires. I've had dinner with them and listened to them say, oh my gosh, there's just never enough money. Money is not good. Money is not bad. It's just money. It's just paper. It's just coins.
Welcome to Inspired by Success, the podcast where I deep dive into the mindset of successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, and thought leaders. Get ready to be inspired and gain valuable insights to unlock your true potential.
You know that feeling when you look at your bank account and your heart sinks, or when you're lying awake at night worrying about bills? We've all been there, and it can feel like you're trapped on a financial roller coaster you can't get off. But what if I told you there's a way to change that, to actually feel good about money and have it flow into your life easily? Today, we're talking to someone who's made it his life's mission to help people do just that. I'm Linda Vo, and on this episode of Inspired by Success, we're exploring the insights of a man who's helped thousands break free from money stress and find true financial peace. Our guest isn't just another financial guru. He's a mindset magician who will show us how to reset our relationship with money from the inside out. With over 2 decades of experience, he's developed the concept of a financial thermostat and identified 4 keys to resetting it. He focuses on creating a healthy relationship with money and oneself, addressing issues of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. His approach goes beyond just making more money. It's about truly transforming your financial life. So open your heart and get ready for some real talk about money as we welcome the incredible Pericles Rellas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. It's great to see you.
I was so excited about this because I love learning about money and self-developing and improving. And I know that many of us have had a complicated relationship with money, especially from our upbringing. But I want to hear your story and what was the reason why you came to explore the emotional side of finances?
You know, I started my career 30 years ago as a business coach, and I wanted to help people grow and expand their business or earn more money, just be more successful in general. And after the first 6 months or so, I noticed that no matter how much more money my clients made, they were still in the same situation at the end of the month. So if they were somebody that was just treading water by the end of the month, they were still just treading water, even though they were making a lot more money. There was somebody that was behind. They were still behind. There was somebody that was still stressed or had anxiety or worry about money. Making lots of money didn't resolve that. So I noticed that this was happening, and I knew there had to be something more than just a coincidence. So I started studying it. And over the next 2 years, I came to 2 conclusions. One, we all have something called a financial thermostat. It's our money mindset, but I like to call it a financial thermostat. It's a sexier term, right? Mm. And that financial thermostat determines how much money we can earn, how much money we can keep, as well as our thoughts, feelings, and emotions around money. And the second thing I discovered were the 4 keys to resetting our financial thermostat. So from that point on, I started working with my clients and implementing these new distinctions. And suddenly the lid blew off and everyone started making more money. Everyone started saving more money, having more money. But more importantly, they had the experience of joy, happiness, and fulfillment in their lives. And so that's why I do what I do today. And that's how I came to be here with you.
I love it because, as I mentioned, our upbringing and the way we were brought up, I think it's from 0 to 7 is the most really crucial stages where we form belief systems. And I, for one, was brought up in a poor household, single mother, and she struggled and we were always hungry. And so, those type of beliefs, the things that the stories, we can't afford that story, it forms beliefs. And so, don't waste food, turn off the lights. That still resonates and sticks with me today, And so I was listening to a podcast episode yesterday too, talking about money and, the fact that some people receive a lot of money or they win a lot of money and then they blow it all as well. They like to spend it. And sometimes I feel like I'm doing that too, because in business, I like to just spend and invest back into the business, but I still haven't even paid myself yet. And I know that I should be. And luckily I have assets too and other income streams. But with my e-commerce store, it's I haven't paid myself, but the money comes in and then it goes all into spending it. And then it's down to again. So I don't know if that's subconscious, self-worth. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you've described exactly what our financial thermostat is. Our financial thermostat is just like a thermostat in our home where we have it set at 72 degrees. That thermostat, its only job is to maintain that 72 degrees no matter what's going on. So if it's freezing outside and we open the windows and all this cold air comes in, it's going to kick on the heat and it's going to bring that room back to 72 degrees. And the inverse is the same. If it's really hot outside, the AC is going to go on. It's going to maintain that 72 degrees. And so the experience that you're having of, well, this money's coming in, but it just disappears. That's because your financial thermostat setting is not set for that kind of money. It's the reason 70 to 80% of all lotto winners go broke within the first 5 years. They don't have a financial thermostat setting prepared to handle that kind of money. We see it with professionals. We see it with professional athletes all the time going bankrupt. They've made tens of millions, in some cases, hundreds of millions of dollars in their career. And yet they go bankrupt and they owe money at the end of the day. That's because they don't have a financial thermostat setting designed for that kind of money.
Wow. And we don't get taught this in school too. I had to read all these financial books about investing and learning about money and self-teaching, like teaching myself all this knowledge. And that's why I'm lucky, because I have investments as well. And there's assets and liabilities. The first book that changed my mindset was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But ever since then, I've just constantly learned and read about money. But that doesn't get taught in schools. And so when you say that about the athletes, the rappers, it's interesting how we just lose it all. So what can we do to actually be more self-aware? And is there like subconscious blocks in ourselves too? Because I was just talking to you prior about, I had a healing session and I had a lot of subconscious blocks that I wasn't aware of, like trauma, generational trauma that was just, she cut the cord. It was spiritual healing, but it's just, I don't know if that is the reason why I am the way I am. And so, how can we rewire ourselves to be able to keep the money that we make and learn? I mean, like, I still learn about investments. I love investing and putting money aside and making my money work for me. But still, I still have that spending, I want to spend.
Right.
And yeah.
Well, it's fascinating that you're saying what you're saying, because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of programs to help us make more money, to learn how to invest, to learn how to build a business, to do all those things. But if we don't have a money mindset or a financial thermostat that's set and geared for earning more money, keeping more money, it's like building a house without a foundation. It's never going to stand up, which is why some of your listeners may be saying to myself, well, I've tried all these programs. They don't work for me. I've tried manifesting. It doesn't work for me. I've tried going to sessions. All the things that they've done, they're not working. Here's why. Money's a currency. And so like any current, it flows in the same way. So like electricity or water or air. However, it is a very unique way in which it flows. Money flows in a circle. Intersect that circle so it flows to us, through us, and away from us, and then back around to us, through us, and away from us, with a reservoir on the side that we get to keep. That's how money flows. It's a universal distinction, something that I created. Now, when we have blocks anywhere in that flow, they impact everywhere in the flow. So we want to start to look at where are the blocks that we have on money coming to us, and where are the blocks money flowing away from us. So here are some examples of blocks of the flow of money coming to us. I hate my job. I hate my boss. I resent the wealthy. The wealthy are evil. They're money's the root of all evil, right? We cannot become that which we resent or that which we hate. Now, some people may be saying this, well, I never want to have that kind of wealth. Well, the universe doesn't distinguish between that kind of wealth. It only knows you're wealthier or you're not. So if I give you a single penny, you are now wealthier than you were a second ago. That means you cannot keep that penny in your mind because you resent the wealthy or you think money's evil. And so you're going to have to disappear that money. So those are some of the blocks in the flow of money coming to us. Now, blocks in the flow going away from us. I hate to pay bills on time. I have the money. I just want to hold on to that money. Or I just resent having to pay people. They can wait. They're a big corporation. They're a big company. I don't have to worry about paying them right now. I'm going to make them wait as long as I possibly can. Hating to pay taxes. These are all blocks in the flow of money going away from us. When we have blocks in the flow of something, it stops us from experiencing the true nature of what it is we want. So if we start putting logs in the river, upstream of us, we're not going to have the water that we want downstream. Same thing for money. If we don't clear those blocks, money's going to start to get constricted around us and we're no longer going to have access to it. So start to notice the blocks that you have around money. If you've got a thought, the wealthy are evil, or that money's evil, or that you hate your boss, notice those blocks. Own that you have that block. Own that you have that thought. Don't fight it. Don't resist it. Just say, whoa, I actually have that. That's interesting. I never noticed that before. And once you own it, then you start to get freedom from it. The next step is let it go. Actually say, I let go of that negative thought. I release that negative thought. I surrender that negative thought to the universe, to God, to the tree, to the beach, whatever, but let it go. And then in that moment of letting it go, you can then replace it with a new positive thought. I love money. And money loves coming into my life every single day. That's just an example. So you want to take those 3 steps. You want to acknowledge it, own it, then release it, then create or replace it with something new that's created, that's generative, that's positive. Now, don't do it in the negative. A lot of times we forget that we get what we focus on. We manifest that which we focus on. And some people think, well, I just want to get rid of debt. I don't want to have any more debt. I don't want any more debt. Well, what's happening is you're creating debt as the focus of your attention. And what you're going to manifest is more debt. So don't focus on the negative, focus on the positive, what you want, not what you don't want. So that's how you clear blocks in the flow of money. And the moment you do that, you will start to see an increase in the flow of money in your life.
So it sounds like you got to do a lot of affirmations and be aware of those thoughts too. Like every night in the morning, I'm always closing my eyes, being grateful, but also saying, thank you for the wealth that's coming my way. Thank you because I read it in a book. And so not focusing on worrying too much as well and letting the universe provide as well, because with business, I've got a lot of debt in my business as well from making a lot of mistakes. And so I'm paying that off, but I'm trying to be more calm, because I think I've read in a lot of books now, like one book in particular, Ask and It Is Given. And it's kind of like the spiritual quantum physics vortex world, but it's just asking and allowing it to receive, and not, like you said, not focusing on the negative parts of money as well. So, I have my own thermostat with how much I've been making in my business, and it's stagnant, and I'm trying to just say it's 20,000 a month, but I really want to hit a little bit extra, and I should be able to hit more and more, but it just seems to be stagnant for a while. So what advice and tips can you give in terms of how we can apply that in business to help us grow? And I know that being a service is one thing as well. And for me, this podcast is a passion project, and it's me investing my time, my money in there. I'm not getting paid for it. And so, but I love doing it. I know that one day it's going to grow, but in the meantime, I've still got my other business and, having to grow that as well. And that's a static thermostat, and that's not where I want it to be. So what advice can you give to business owners and entrepreneurs that seem to be static in their business and the way, like the income that's coming?
Yes. So first and foremost, notice where you have blocks in the flow. We can have cultural blocks. We can have generational blocks, like blocks that our parents had that they passed down to us. We can have cultural blocks where a certain culture or a certain way we were raised, it's part of a group dynamic. So look to see what are those blocks and clear those blocks. Then make sure, and I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to just point something out that you said that I think is really important. You said money is coming. That's a future-paced conversation. And so every day you wake up, you're going to be saying the same thing. Money is coming. And what you're manifesting is money is coming. I remember I was traveling once and I saw this sign on the wall of a restaurant. It said, free shrimp tomorrow. Yeah. And I thought, oh my gosh, how can they afford that? And then I realized, whoa, every day I come back, it's free shrimp tomorrow, never in the present. So when we create something, we want to create it right now. Money flows into my life every single day, freely and abundantly, rather than it will be someday or it's coming down the road. That shift can certainly make a big difference in opening up that flow of money. The second thing that I think is really important that you said is we always want to stay present to and true to our why we're doing what we do. You said this is a passion project of yours, and that's phenomenal. And I love that. We should always be doing what we love. And what we love will provide us with everything we need, right? Everything we want, everything we need can come from that source, but be clear on why you're doing it. So wake up in the morning reading your why. Go to bed every night reading your why. That way your day is bookended. You are starting your day inside of your why, and you're going into your dream world inside of your why. That will keep you inspired, but it will also keep you in that vibrational frequency. And I think you were talking about Abraham Hicks when you talked about the book you were reading. It's so important for us to be vibrating at a frequency that attracts what we want. So if we're thinking negative thoughts, that's one vibrational frequency that's going to attract more negative things into our lives. But if we're present to what we love about our lives, why we do what we do, we're going to shift our vibration. Suddenly we're going to be attracting more of that. So those would be the things that I would recommend right out of the gate. For anyone who's in a business or not in a business, just you go to work every day. Why do you do what you do? How does it help people? And then the last thing is being of service. Anytime I'm having a problem in my life, I let go of the problem and I immediately focus on being of service, because everything in my life gets sorted out when I'm being of service for other people. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be a volunteer. It doesn't mean you have to give away your time all the time. Yes, you want to donate your time. Yes, you want to be a contribution to people, but you also want to own the value of your time, the value of your expertise, your years of experience, and there needs to be reciprocity. So make sure that you're getting compensated, and it doesn't always have to be money. There are sometimes when people will say, hey, can I do this for you if you do this? Absolutely. If I feel that there's a reciprocity there, absolutely. But don't forget how valuable your time is. And that can be a block in the flow as well. People don't think that they're smart enough. They don't think they're pretty enough. They don't think they're educated enough. They don't think they're worthy of having that kind of money. That's a block in the flow. You want to clear that block and follow those 3 steps that I gave you earlier so that you can create a whole new setting in your financial thermostat.
You mentioned that worthiness part too, because I know I'm starting on a journey of coaching. I think I've prioritized, I've taken on board, because I've got a vending machine business and it's doing really well. So I got a mentor to teach, because I was inspired by what he does and I want to do what he does. And therefore I'm going to be coaching others as well. And so it's just new to me. I haven't really got on coaching clients, but I'm trying to charge free for beta clients to give me my feedback and help give me testimonials, as long as I can help them start their own vending machine business as well. And then it's just about a matter, like you said, charging people. I'm doing it free because I want to get that feedback and I want to help others, but it's just nobody's taken the bait yet. And I'm nobody wants a free mentorship for now. And then therefore, how am I going to be able to charge a reasonable price from it? So that's another thing too. How do you know your worth? And I know how much my mentor charges as well. And right. I appreciate what he's done, and I wish I could have that same value, but I'm still at the baby steps and he's up here. So how do we value our self-worth and charge what we know? Because I know that I've got success with my business and I've got the stats to show it and I show people, but I think it's also about mindset. Because like you said, I know that I haven't prioritized this coaching thing. I know that it's very valuable for others, but I haven't prioritized it. And I'm focusing on low value tasks in my other business, putting it off and procrastinating what I should be doing. I think that's definitely a thing to think about when you're mentoring others, is whether or not they're ready and their mindset is ready as well. And there's a few elements to that too, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Linda, let me ask you, I'll interact with you the way I would with a client who's having the same conversation, if that's okay with you. Are you clear that what you do will make a difference for the people you're going to work with?
Yeah, because I could see that what I've done, I've been able to hire an awesome team to help me, but hire people to help me with the vending machine business so that I could do things that I love, like doing this podcast, for example, taking my kids to school and spending more time with them. So that's why I want to share that and help others do the same thing as well. But whether or not they're ready to take it on board.
Well, okay. So there are 2 things that I'll say. One is there was a but in there and you stopped yourself, but there was a but. You said, I can, but, and then you stopped and you changed the subject. We want to be really careful when we say but, because it invalidates everything we said just before it. And we say it without even thinking, and it can really undo the positive that we're creating. So you know that you have an expertise that can help other people. Is that correct?
Yes.
Absolutely. And do you know that you've been able to build the business that you want? And yes, there may be ground that you've got other milestones that you want to make, but are you building the business that you want right now?
In terms of my vending machine business?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
The
Yeah.
one where you want to do the mentoring and coaching. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So own that and stand in that and really wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I know what I'm doing. People would be lucky to work with me. People would be able to get the distinctions that I have to start to create the kind of financial freedom that they want in their lives. Those are the kinds of things you want to get really clear about for yourself before you ever start talking to anybody else. And then there's this really interesting thing when it comes to people that I've noticed is the less money you charge, the less valuable they think it is. So when you go to somebody and say, I'm going to give it to you for free. Well, she's giving it away, so it can't be that good, right? That's kind of the mentality that we have. We've all done that, right? But the more expensive it is, the more valuable we suddenly think it is, right? We think, wow, that's amazing. It must be an extraordinary course. Then what we're challenged with is, one, will it provide what I'm looking for? And if it does, then how do I manage the investment? Rather than, oh, it's probably not worth it. It's probably not a good course. So you can approach it from, I'm getting ready to start this mentoring business, to start this coaching business. And I would like to invite you to be on board with me. And what I'd like to do is rather than charging you my normal rate, which is going to be X number of dollars, whatever that is, I'm going to waive that for you if you will be willing to participate, be on every single call, and write a testimonial at the end of that, and then provide me with feedback from a sheet that I'm going to give you, a form that I'm going to send you. If you're willing to do all of those things, I will allow you to participate. Do you see how I framed that? Rather than me asking them for a favor, I'm actually offering them to be on the ground floor of something that's extraordinary, get all the value out of it. But here's what they're going to have to provide to me in exchange. It's that reciprocity. When we start to frame it like that, suddenly people listen in a different way and you'll relate to it in a different way because you've got something of value to provide. You'll approach it with skin in the game. They'll approach it with skin in the game. Even if you say, look, I'm going to charge $1,500 for this, however long it is program, just making up numbers, but I'm going to give it to you for 75% off. So they still have skin in the game, but you really frame it and create it, how valuable and profound it is going to be in their lives. They can actually take it and run with it. Go use these distinctions, go start this business. All of that will create a whole different context for the conversation that you're having.
I love it. That's very valuable. I'm going to go back to that and take that and take that advice and use that as well. Let me ask you, we all know that person that seems to attract money really easily. How does their financial thermostat differ from someone who's always struggling? Because, I mean, like my partner, what I noticed is that the law of the universe, he's the most generous person ever, like so generous. And that's the thing. He thinks of others. Money is always, he's able to make it. He does trading, he does investments, but he's got a gift at it. But he doesn't provide for himself. He provides for others, and it's just so generous and beautiful soul. I think that's why he doesn't have that scarcity mindset. And so what do you think about that? And what makes people that attract money easily different from people that are struggling with money?
Yeah, it's their financial thermostat setting. So some people, I know somebody's, if he were to fall down and get hit by a car, he'd fall down over a bucket of money and get hit by a car that was filled with money, right? They just can't help but have money flowing into their lives. And many people have a mindset or a financial thermostat setting for that. They just have money that flows into their lives. Now, they may not have a financial thermostat for keeping that money. They may as well. I know lots of people make lots of money, keep lots of money, and they're miserable. Yeah. I've worked with billionaires, certifiable billionaires, and I mean certifiable on the Forbes list top 10. And I've had dinner with them and listened to them say, oh my gosh, there's just never enough money. And complaint after complaint after complaint. They're just never happy. They're never fulfilled. So it's not about the amount of money that we can earn or keep. It's about a balance between the money we earn, the money we keep, and are we fulfilled in our lives? So the people that have money flowing all the time, they've got all those blocks cleared out. They may never have had those blocks in place. They may have been raised in an environment where it was just really clear. Money always flows to you. I know somebody who's raised with his mother would always say, here, we're going to put money in your jar every night. And then overnight, she put more money in it. So he got up the next morning and he knew money always grew around him miraculously. But that was his mindset. Everywhere he went, money showed up. It was just always flowing to him. So you want to start to look at, where are my blocks in the flow of money? That's all it is. It's that simple. Where are my blocks in the flow of money coming to me and going away from me? Are you somebody that never wants to contribute to someone else, never wants to spend money on things? Well, money's never going to flow back to you. I have people say that to me all the time. Clients will say, I can't get people to pay me. I say, okay, well, let's take a look. How do you pay your bills? Oh, I'm always late. Well, it makes perfect sense. Nobody's going to pay you because you're not paying anyone, or you're hoarding money. And so their money isn't going to flow to you. So look to see, what are those blocks in the flow? Clear them out, and money will then start to flow more freely and abundantly in your life.
That's so powerful. I love that money jar idea. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get a clear jar, and make sure, because my daughter's young, and so I want to make sure that I instill good belief systems. I'm going to do that. I love that concept. So
I would give you 2 other things too to share with your daughter, if you don't mind my adding them. One is, I have a found jar in my house. It's for found money, and I find money everywhere. Now, a lot of times I'll talk to my clients and say, okay, so where's money showing up in your life? Well, it's really not. I'm like, okay, well, when was the last time you saw money on the ground? Oh, I saw some this morning. Okay, did you pick it up? Oh, God, no, I would never touch money on the ground. Well, the universe is putting in front of you money. And some people will say, well, it's only a penny. Well, what is a dollar made up of? 100 pennies. If you're unwilling to honor and cherish a part of the whole, how can you expect the whole to appreciate and want to be with you? It would kind of like being with your significant other, saying, oh, I love her, I love him so much, but their hands, they're so ugly. I don't want to look at their hands. Well, how do you think they're going to feel? They're not going to want to be around you. They're not going to want to hang out with you. We have to honor and respect the whole. So anytime you see money on the ground, pick it up, honor it, cherish it. Now, if it's dirty, like it's got dirt on it, wash it off, right? But don't relate to money as filthy or dirty or bad. Just honor it, thank it. I found one year, I almost found $800. Just in my day-to-day walking around, driving around, I found it everywhere. And every day I pick it up, put it in, thank the universe for it, and more would show up. So create that found money vessel as well. And then start to look at, with your daughter, with your kids, for those of you who are listening, start to create, what are you saving money for? Let's create 3 different areas that we're going to save money for. And if they get an allowance, we're going to have one that's there long-term for retirement. I know it's a long ways away, but we're just going to put a penny in there every day, or a penny there every week, or a penny every month. I don't care. Flow that money into that vessel. Then you've got a second one for, I don't know, toys, right? When you've got enough money and you're going to be able to buy that toy that you want, you're putting money into that every single day or every week or every month. And then a third one, whatever you want. You can create them, have it be a game, and then get into the habit of flowing that money into those vessels every single day or week or month. And then at the end of the month, take that money out of the vessel and flow it into a bigger vessel called a bank, where you're saving that money, and that money's now earning interest. So the money that you've saved is now earning you money. And every single month, you're seeing that money flow and grow. When we start to create those neural pathways, we start to grow up in a world of, wow, money just flows to me from everywhere. Money's just everywhere, and I always have money, no matter where I go and what I do.
That's so powerful. I love it. I've just taken all these concepts, and I'm definitely going to apply it. You mentioned fulfillment before, okay? Because I heard this on the podcast, about, you see billionaires wanting to have a monk lifestyle, but you never see a monk wanting to be a billionaire, and it's all because of fulfillment. And I thought, wow, that's powerful. You've spoken to all these billionaires and they're not fulfilled. How does one become more fulfilled when they have everything? Is it just about gratefulness and being grateful for what you have and then serving others? Because that's what I thought. If I'm a billionaire, in order to be grateful, if fulfilled, I'd want to serve people and just be thankful for everything by providing and giving experiences to my loved ones and to charity. If I was a billionaire, I think that would make people more fulfilled. Is that something that you recommend? How can one be fulfilled if you're really rich?
This is such a great conversation. So money can't provide happiness. Money cannot provide fulfillment. I know you think so. For those of you who are listening, you may be thinking, oh, it can. If I just had that X, or if I had the car, or if I had that money, if I had that kind of money, I would be happy. Trust me, I've seen it. They're not. They're not happy. They're not fulfilled. Not all of them. I'm saying some of the ones that I've seen, some of the ones that I've known. And I've known and worked with people who have very little money, and they're completely fulfilled in their life. They're completely content. It's all about enough. Knowing what's enough in your life and being grateful. You touched on this many times, and it's such an important word. Being grateful for everything you have. There are people that go to bed every night praying that they could have what you and I have. And sometimes we're sitting there complaining about what we have, right? And for them, it would be like being a billionaire, right? There's always someone that would love to be standing in our shoes. So are you grateful for everything that you have? And what happens is gratitude begets more gratitude. And more gratitude begets more things in our life to be grateful for. Everything in our lives is an opportunity to learn, to grow and expand, or to contract and be angry and upset. You get to make the choice. I'm not committed to either way for anybody. I don't think you have to do one thing or another. You choose for yourself. But if you're someone who's really looking at finding that fulfillment in your life, money's not going to provide it. Find that place of joy and contentment and fulfillment right now in gratitude. And then when the money does come, it'll be like icing on the cake. You won't be looking for those things to be happy. You'll actually have happiness from inside. And then those things around you will just bring you more joy and satisfaction. But if they're not there, you'll still be happy. You'll still be satisfied. You'll still be fulfilled. Did that answer your question?
It does. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, it just makes me hear about stories about people that commit suicide even though they've got everything. It's just because they're not fulfilled. And I think if they took themselves out and went to a third world country and saw how other people live, they'd be more grateful, I suppose. How do we become more happy? How do we become more fulfillment? And that's why I'm on this journey as well, because I'm learning as well. Yes. So let me get personal and ask, can you share a time when you had to reset your own financial thermostat?
Yes. It was in the very beginning when I first started with my business and I wanted to work with clients. And I noticed, and I didn't realize it at the time that it was part of my financial thermostat because I hadn't created that distinction yet. I hadn't seen that, but I was bumping into a glass ceiling and I could not get beyond a certain level in my income. And I was so frustrated, and I was doing so much work on myself and so much work on training myself and educating myself. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I remember there was a quiet moment, and the most profound things will happen when you get quiet. When we stop thinking and trying, when we just get connected to our higher self. And I remember having this thought from when I was a little kid, and you said earlier between 1 and 7, and I was probably 6 or 7 years old at the time. And I'm going to date myself here, but I was watching with my mom, and my dad and my sister may have been there, but I just remember vividly my mom, and we were watching the show I think the lifestyles of the rich and famous and how their lives were horrible, right? And at the end of this show, we just seen something just horrible and how their lives ended. And my mom says, without any judgment, without any venom, just very nonchalantly, she says, I never want to have that kind of money. You'll lose your whole family. And in that moment, that 7-year-old, 6-year-old boy said, you're never going to have money because you don't want to lose your family. I loved my family. My family was so important to me. I wasn't aware of having made that decision, but it was a block in the flow that just got put in there. And it ran the show for decades. And then suddenly I noticed it. And then I took the 3 actions that I told you earlier. I noticed it and I owned it. And then I actually let it go and released it. I surrendered it to the universe. This is no longer mine, right? I own that I had it. I'm letting it go. And now who I am is somebody that money loves coming to. That money flows into my life every single day. And I have everything I need and everything I want every single moment. And in that moment, my life shifted. And so for anyone who's dealing with something like that for themselves, I recommend you find a place, get quiet, wherever that is. If you like to meditate, if you just want to sit and listen to music, walk on the beach, walk in the forest, whatever that is for you, find a way to get quiet. There's nothing you need outside of you. All the answers will come from here. When you connect with your higher self, whatever that looks like for you, that connection will open up everything. It will show you what's blocking your ability to have and create the kind of life that you want. You don't need anything outside of you. Yes, there are lots of things that you can get educated on and get better understanding of, investing and things like that. But all the things you need to fully express yourself, to fully be the person you want to be, it's all right here. We just piled all this junk on top of it that gets in the way. We clear those blocks away, and suddenly life is different.
Wow. So how did you go back and find that story? Because like that was a long time ago, and
Yes.
for you to dig through those memories to find that, sometimes these memories could be hidden. Is that
Yes.
because you meditated and it had to sit with it? Because I'm just curious about my own. Like, was there a trigger event that made me have a blockage somehow when I was younger? I never thought of
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
what did you do?
It was a moment that I don't remember exactly when it was, but I know that I was doing something that was very meditative in nature. So I was just being very quiet and pensive and thoughtful in terms of, I was just looking at, okay, what's going on here? What's going on here? And I think it's important for people to know that we don't always have to locate the specific incident or the specific moment in time. Look, I'm not disparaging therapy at all. I think it's great. Go to therapy if that's something that you need. I'm not a therapist. I don't declare that I am in any way, shape, or form. But I know a lot of people that spend years and years in therapy to figure out why they are the way they are. And then one day they'll come and say, I know why I'm this way. I know why I'm this way. I'm like, great. Why are you that way? And they'll say, blah, blah, blah. I say, great. So did it make a difference? Oh, no, I'm still that way. Well, I'm not interested in spending years and years and years trying to figure out why I'm a certain way. I'm interested in right now being able to alter my behavior, being able to alter my thoughts so that I can have the life that I want right now. The rest of that is important to some people. And if it is, great, do that. But for me, it's more important to change the behavior, the thought process right now. So if you find that you're bumping up against something and you can't figure out why am I not be able to make more money? Why am I not be able to make more money? Forget about the why and then declare, okay, I own that there's something in my psyche, something in my background that's saying I can't make more money. I let that go and I release it into the care of the universe. I release it out of me, wherever you want to release it to. And then in that moment, create what you're creating for moving forward forever and ever. This is who I am now. This is how money interacts with me. This is how I interact with money. So own it, release it, and create something new. And without ever knowing what that incident is, because I don't want you to be hobbled by it, because it isn't as important as it may sound. If you catch it, great. If not, just declare, whatever it is, I'm letting it go and I'm moving on.
I love it. It's so powerful. Guys, if you're finding this conversation as powerful and valuable as I am, please do me a favor, hit the follow button if you're listening via podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like, make a comment. It does help the channel grow as well. I could be talking like hours about money because this is something that I love learning about as well. And there's so many different concepts about money as well. And there's so much different advice about creating wealth. So can you tell me what's a common money myth that makes you want to shout from the rooftops?
Oh, yes. I've touched on it already. People think money's going to bring me happiness. If I just earn $100,000, I'll be happy. Well, what happens? We get to that $100,000 and suddenly we realize, well, I'm not happy. Well, maybe it's up 200,000. Okay. We start working, 200,000 comes up. Well, I'm still not happy. We get in that hamster wheel of, I need to make more to be happy, make more to be happy. They're looking for money to provide them with something it can't provide. Money is not good. Money is not bad. It's just money. It's just paper. It's just coins. That's all it is. What we put on it is not its fault. It's kind of like cancer is just cancer. It doesn't know it's cancer. It's just cancer. It's a horrible thing, and I don't wish it on anybody, and I'm not using this as an analogy to say somebody should get cancer, but it just is what it is. It's the same thing with money. It can provide us, money can provide us with certain things. It certainly can't provide us with security. People think money can provide us with security. Go talk to those billionaires I know. I talk to them all day long about all the problems they had around lawsuits and personal problems and all that. Doesn't make any difference. It doesn't provide you with happiness. It can provide you with an ability to travel better. But I know people with lots of money, they buy first class tickets and they're a nightmare. The flight's a nightmare. The cabs or the limousines, all problems. So it isn't only about the money. So be clear about what money can and cannot provide, and get really clear that at the end of the day, your source of joy and happiness is not money. It's right here. And when you can be completely joy-filled and happy and fulfilled right here, the money will flow, the money will be there, and you'll be happy already. All the things you want money for, you'll already have that joy and happiness and fulfillment, and then it'll be icing on the cake from there forward.
Oh, wow. I just thought about, I watched the Hermoses and they talk about the different levels they want to go, or Cardone as well, Grant Cardone and his wife, they're multimillionaires and they want to go to the next level. And I don't know, they're just going to keep growing and growing. And life is about growth. We all want to grow. If you're not growing, you're stagnant, you're dying. So what are your thoughts on that? To just keep going and going and growing. If that fulfills you, is that okay? Or do you think that they're trying to fulfill that hole of... Yeah.
We are either growing or we're either expanding or we're contracting. There is no standing still. There's a great distinction you brought up. Super important. Expanding and contracting, or let's just stick with expanding. Expanding does not necessarily mean that you are making more and 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 more every single day. You can expand your capacity to understand money better, to be a better person, to be a better husband, to be a better wife, to be a better contribution to people. That does not mean that I have to make 1 million more next year than I made the year before. And then after that, I have another million. If that's for you, great, do it. But do it inside of having that sense of contentment, and I'm happy where I am right now, and I'm creating what's next. Because that's what we do as human beings. We spend the majority of our time on the journey and a very short period of time at the destination. We get to a plateau and we're like, yay, what's next? Right? And we're immediately creating the next goal. Be clear you're creating the goal out of a sense of adventure and the next part of the journey, not I can't be happy until I get there. That's where you'll fail. That's where suffering occurs. I'm standing here in the present thinking I can't be happy until I get to wherever I need to get. If you can be happy where you are, life is going to be a joyful journey. No matter what you're doing, it doesn't make any difference. And you can create these goals for yourself, knowing I'm happy right now. I'm on the journey, happy and enjoying it. And if I hit that destination, I'm going to be happy and create another goal. Or if I don't, I'm going to have lived my life loving the journey every step of the way. So whatever that is for you, find that for yourself and make sure you're always connected to your higher self, to your sense of fulfillment, satisfaction, enough right now in the present, because that's where we always are. We're never anywhere else. We're only right here in the present.
I love it. That's beautiful. And you mentioned relationships too. We know that money can be a source of tension in relationships, and a lot of divorces happen because of money issues. How do you actually help couples get on the same financial wavelength?
In most relationships, there are 3 financial thermostats. You've got one partner who has their own financial thermostat. You've got another partner, they've got their own financial thermostat. And then together as a couple, they've got a third financial thermostat. It's really important to talk about money. It's really important to share what your concerns are, what your thoughts, feelings, and emotions are. Share what your blocks are as you start to clear them out. Wow, I noticed this, or you did that and this happened. I got really nervous or I got really scared. It's important that we commune with each other in a relationship around money. I don't know how most people were raised that are listening, but in my household, we never talked about money. It was off topic. You did not ask people about how much money they made. You didn't talk about how much money you made. You didn't talk about money or concerns. You were just supposed to know all about money. And that's why we see so many people out there thinking, oh yeah, I know everything about money. I make tons and tons of money. And it's all a show. It's all an Instagram show, rather than actually creating that sense of joy and satisfaction in your life. So do that together as a couple. Be in communication, be honest, be open to your partner's financial thermostat, and let them be open to yours as well, and start to create and strategize. Okay, this is what we want in life. Have those common goals. And it's important to negotiate those. Look, there may be things that you're really committed to, like, okay, I really don't want to give this up. Great. What are you willing to negotiate with for them so they can have something that they want? And then what together are you going to work on? So you don't want to just have it your way, and you certainly don't want them to just have it their way. It's got to be our way, with things that you want, things that they want, and things that you've compromised on. Relationships are not a sacrifice. Relationships are all about compromise. And I'm willing to compromise something so that we're both happy. I'm willing to give and take on this so that we're both happy. The minute you say, I'll sacrifice for you, you've immediately given up your power and you've set yourself below them, right? You both want to be on equal planes, equal footings, and have those conversations around money. Sorry, I get so off on, I love these conversations. I get off on sidetracks because it's so important. But talk about your relationship with money. Don't be afraid to do that and create a safe space for both of you to communicate what you're vulnerable, what you don't know, what you do know, and where you want to go together.
Yeah, that's very great advice there, because a lot of couples do fight over money as well. Now,
Yes.
we all face setbacks, especially when there's issues outside of our circumstances or the economy, whatnot going, or a black swan event. What's your advice for keeping a positive money mindset when life throws us some curveball that happens that is out of our control?
Yes. It's important to remember that we're not victims. We are simply people who are living our lives, and sometimes unexpected things come up. And oftentimes what I see my clients will do in the beginning stages, when they're starting to really create this new financial thermostat, they're really starting to flow and they're doing so well. And then something will come up and it will kind of be a setback. And they'll think, oh, my life sucks again. I'm right back at square one. No, never say that. You're climbing this mountain. You're making all this progress. If there's a breakdown, you're having a breakdown up here now. You're not having a breakdown down here. You're no longer here. You're way up here. Have the breakdown up here and own it. This is part of life. You cannot go through life without having a flat tire or something come up that's unexpected. Don't have it be a catastrophe. Remember, we get what we focus on. So if it's a disaster, well, you're going to attract more disasters. If it's just like, oh, here's an inconvenience, I'm just going to deal with this inconvenience and move on with my life. I'm going to remember how amazing my life is. Now, let me give you something else. Oftentimes, when people start to have financial issues, like they lose a job or there's something that happens that money gets a little bit tight, they go into what I call a contracting conversation. We got to cut, we got to cut, we got to cut, we got to cut. And what happens is we start to create momentum of contraction, and we get into this mindset of we got to cut, we got to cut, we got to cut, and that momentum overtakes us. We're in that right now, especially here in the United States. We've been such a conversation of recession. It's bad since the pandemic, right? People lost their job. It was horrible, and it was such a bad time.
Sorry, inflation, everything I heard in America keeps going up. It's so expensive now.
Right, exactly. Inflation is going down. Unemployment is at record lows. We've got payrolls are going up, but we're in the mindset of things are bad. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people out there who are dealing with things that are still difficult and challenging. What I'm saying is as a nation, we're so used to saying things are bad, things are bad, things are bad, that we're still living in the momentum of things are bad rather than stopping and seeing, whoa, things are actually way better than I realized. I need to start taking stock of how well things are going for me and start looking at, where am I spending my money? Am I being responsible for where I'm flowing my money? So if something does happen, we may need to start looking at where we're flowing our money, not cutting, but like, you know what? I just lost my job. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose to reduce or readjust where I'm flowing my money right now until I get back into a job. Those are powerful ways to deal with those kinds of unexpected situations. So we don't create this context of my life's a disaster and it's getting smaller and smaller and everything's contracting, because those are really hard to pull out of.
Yeah, like when you tell me about losing a job, well, I got made redundant during COVID as well, and in a tech job of all places like TikTok, and I
Right.
was gutted, like I was just devastated. But that money that I had, the next morning I was crying and thinking like everything was so heavy because my purpose was gone and my identity was gone. And so, I could have just kept on crying for the whole week, but then my mindset shifted the next day, and I said, stuff that, I'm going to create a business. But then I thought and spoke to my partner, and then, yeah, Game Guys was created out of that moment. And that changed my emotions and lifted me out of that darkness, because I had something else to focus on and something to just put that energy towards. Instead of being depressed and miserable and crying, I just used all that energy and just shifted it towards creating a business and creating. And yes, there's been a lot of ups and downs, and I got myself into debt, but then I've pivoted. So I guess it's all about mindset and just changing the way you think. It's just powerful how
Yes.
our thoughts, you know what I mean, like, can do
Right.
so much good and so much damage. The
Go
law
ahead.
of attraction, and you mentioned that as, like, I think we mentioned manifesting as well, but it's a hot
Yes.
topic. Everyone wants to manifest things, but what's your
Yes.
honest take on that in the financial success? Like, how can we achieve that? And what are your thoughts of it? Do you believe in the law of attraction?
Oh gosh, yes. I love the law of attraction. I absolutely believe if you look at an atom, the majority of the atom is energy. The actual matter part of an atom is the smallest part of it. So we're all connected through energy. And and we're getting into a really kind of woo-woo conversation for some
Quantum
people.
physics,
So
I love this stuff.
yes, Joe Dispenza and all that's
Yes.
really amazing.
Yeah.
And you start to look at what happens when we shift our vibrational frequency, things start to alter. I was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I remember having this conversation with the blocks of flow of money going away from us. And the podcast got released, and in the intro, she said, I took to heart what he said about money flowing away from me, blocks. And there was a doctor's bill that I hadn't paid. And I just didn't want to pay it because I resented that I had to pay this doctor's bill. And I finally said, you know what? That's a block in the flow. And I paid that doctor's bill. And within 30 minutes, someone signed up for one of my programs online. That fast. So it's that fast that we can start to manifest things on a smaller scale when we start to vibrate at a certain frequency, or we start to release or clear those blocks in the flow. And that's why I talk about people who fall into money all the time. That's their vibrational frequency. They're just vibrating at money is everywhere for me. And they're vibrating at a positive level. And when we're not, we will attract more of that. That's why we see people look like rain clouds over their head all the time. It's because that's the vibrational frequency that they're operating at. And I'm not trying to diminish them in any way, shape, or form. It can be a horrible experience. But like you said, when you lost your job and you were gutted, you grieved for, I would say, about a day. And then you said, you know what? This is an opportunity. What's the opportunity here? That was a shift, not in just your mindset, but in your vibrational frequency. And suddenly you saw something that you perhaps never saw before, which was the opportunity to create your own business. We will see things that we never saw before that could have been right in front of our face for years and years and years, just by shifting our mindset and our vibrational frequency. And that's why the law of attraction is so powerful. It works look, you want to manifest something, don't worry about it. Just think about what it is you want. Get really clear about what it is you want. Get really clear about the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of having that thing right now. The universe will handle the rest. Where we mostly go wrong is we start to think about what we want to manifest. We feel that, but then we try to make it happen. We try to force it out, and we can't do that. The universe can do it in a nanosecond without even, it just happens so quickly. But when we get in the way, what we're doing is we're blocking the flow. We're actually interrupting that ability to happen or for it to manifest in our lives because we're trying too hard. Surrender to the universe is going to provide it to you. Just feel it and it will show up. And be clear that it could show up in a way you don't expect. And there's another place where we fall down. We expect it to look a certain way, and then it shows up, but it doesn't look the way we want. And we're that's not it. I want money in my life. There's a penny. That's not the money I want. And the universe says, well, I just put money in front of you and you said no, so you mustn't want money. Let's wait and see what you really want. So watch for the thing that you want. Watch for it to show up in the way that it's going to show up, and then embrace it, celebrate it, and respect it and honor it.
I love it. Gosh, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I've really, really enjoyed it. And I know that our time is running up. So for those who want to connect with you, where can they find you? And is there any key message you want to leave the audience with?
Yes. So first, if you want to connect with me, you can go to my website. There are two. They both go to the same place, periclesrellas.com or resetyourfinancialthermostat.com. And on my website, the main page, you can sign up for my free masterclass where I take a deep dive into the 4 keys to resetting your financial thermostat. It's a super masterclass with lots and lots of value. I recommend anyone who really is in this conversation take an opportunity to do that. And I think the last thing I would leave people with is notice the negative conversations you have about yourself and yourself relating to money and let them go. They are the biggest blocks to your being able to have the kind of success that you want. It's all right here. Let go of those blocks, clear those blocks, and watch how your life will start to sing.
Wow, this is just so powerful, guys. If you found this valuable, please do me a favor and share it with someone that you know that could definitely use it, the help with money and their mindset, because I found so many valuable tips in this conversation and I hope you did too. So thank you so much, Pericles. It's been an honor and a fantastic conversation. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I've had a great time. This is just amazing. I appreciate it.